Chapter 11. The Light of Ancients. The full moon hung over Beacon Verge like a silver coin, its pale light slicing through the night, bathing Dr. Aldous Wellington's ivy-choked yard in an ethereal glow. Kane Voss stood at the heart of the trio, his boots sinking into the damp grass, the relay core cradled in his scarred hands. Its crystalline surface, lifeless gray moments ago, now shimmered with latent fire, catching the moon's rays like a prism starved for light. Sadie Hall stood to his left, her chestnut hair loose, strands catching the glow, her sharp cheekbones gilded as she clutched a holopad, its screen flickering with data streams. Aldous Wellington flanked his right, his white hair a wild halo, eyes wide with a reverence that teetered on dread. The air crackled, heavy with anticipation, as if the universe paused, waiting for a secret too vast to hold. Kane raised the core, its facets glinting, and it answered. Light exploded. Blues, violets, gold swirling within, a trapped galaxy pulsing with a rhythm that echoed his heartbeat. Runes erupted across its surface, intricate and alive, spiraling in patterns that danced like liquid flame, casting shadows that writhed on the grass, glyphs sharp yet fluid, ancient yet urgent, no human hand could have carved. A low grumble rose, resonating in their bones, a song from a world drowned in time. Sadie's breath hitched, her voice a whisper. It's alive. She swiped her holopad, its sensors capturing the core's pulse, the runes flicker, every shift in its radiant hues. Her dark eyes shone with awe, but her hands stayed steady, a scholar's rigor anchoring her wonder. The patterns, fractal, layered, like a language we've lost. Aldous leaned in, his weathered face bathed in the core's glow, fingers twitching as if to trace the runes in the air. Not lost, he murmured, his Boston drawl soft, almost holy. Buried. This is their voice, Sadie. Those who walked before the flood. He pulled a datapad from his cardigan, scribbling notes with a stylus, his gaze darting between the core and the moon's unblinking stare. The scroll was right. Runes, shine, true. It's answering Kane. The light. Something in him. Kane's pulse surged, the core's warmth seeping into his palms, a connection he couldn't name. Feels like it's talking, he said, voice rough with unease. He was no mystic, built for survival, not awe, but the weight in his hands felt like fate, or a noose. The runes shifted, coalescing into a projection above the core, a hollow map spun from light, its edges shimmering like molten starfire. Sadie gasped, stepping closer, her holopad zooming in. A map, she said, her freeland drawl sharp with excitement. But, God, it's wrong. The projection showed a globe, yet not, land masses sprawled where oceans belonged, continents jagged and alien, seas carving paths no modern chart knew. A vast island dominated the Atlantic, its coasts ringed with cities that glowed like embers, linked by ley lines pulsing with energy. This isn't Earth, not now. Pre-flood, maybe 12,000 years ago, before the Younger Dryas. Aldous nodded, his stylus a blur. Not wrong, Sadie. Different. Their world, before seas rose, before stars lost their names. He pointed to glyphs beneath the map, angular and menacing. There, instructions, I'd wager. Not just a guide, but a purpose. Kane squinted, the core growing louder, insistent. The glyphs morphed, forming schematics, chambers, conduits, a central node where a sphere like the core fit, its light powering a structure vast as a mountain. What the hell is this? He asked, dread coiling in his gut. A machine? Sadie's fingers danced over her pad, cross-referencing. More than that, she said, voice tight. These symbols, energy flows, amplification, containment. It's a weapon, Kane. A super weapon, planetary scale. The core's the key, the ignition. But she paused, Eyes locking on a glyph tied to a human figure, its outline etched with DNA-like spirals. It needs a controller. Someone specific, resonant with the core. Your DNA, Kane. You're not just holding it. You're it. Aldis's face darkened, his awe tempered by something heavier. A weapon to end worlds. Or save them, he said, barely audible. This is no museum piece. It's a choice, and it's found you. The core flared once, blinding, then softened. Map and schematics fading, runes settling into a steady pulse. Kane lowered it, hands trembling, Sadie's words sinking deep. He was a scavenger, not a savior, yet the core had branded him. "Why me?" he muttered, more to himself. Sadie touched his arm, brief but firm, her eyes holding his. "We'll figure it out," she said, steady despite the tremor in her gaze. "Together." Aldis clapped his datapad shut, his expression unreadable. "Inside," he said, gesturing to the house. "We unpack this, every glyph, every line. And we stay careful. This core, in the wrong hands." He trailed off, eyes flicking to the core, then away, as if seeing something unseen. They retreated to the study, the hollow fire casting warm shadows across Aldis's cluttered shelves. Kane set the core on the desk, its sounds muted but alive, and Sadie synced her holopad to a projector, replaying the map and schematics. Aldis pored over notes, muttering about ley lines and cataclysms, while Sadie cross-checked glyphs against Azor's dig files. Kane watched, restless, his mind churning. Nyx's broken body, now this, a weapon tied to his blood. All lingered, but fear bit harder. Aldis straightened, his voice cutting through. "You two, stay here. Lay low. No calls, no signals, no wandering. This house is off Libra's grid, but that core's a beacon to anyone with tech to hear. In the wrong hands, it's not just dangerous, it's the end." Sadie frowned, pausing her work. "Where are you going?" Aldis hesitated, eyes flickering with something guarded. Calculation, maybe fear. "A source," he said, vague, pulling on a coat. "Old texts, private collection, not far, back in a few hours. Keep recording, Sadie. Kane, don't touch the core, unless I'm here." Kane caught the dodge, instincts twitching, but nodded. "Don't get jumped, old man." Aldis's lips twitched, not quite smiling. "I've dodged worse than you know." He slipped out, the door clicking shut, leaving a silence too heavy. Sadie dove back into data, but Kane paced, the core's glow taunting him. He hadn't missed Aldis's glance at the runes, the tightening of his jaw at one glyph. A spiral, fractal, etched like a wound. Kane didn't know it, but Aldis did. The sigil of the Order of the Silent Spiral, a shadow he'd glimpsed decades ago in forbidden texts. A cabal whispered to pull strings across dominions. Why was their mark here in a relic older than gods? He needed answers, not guesses, and his source, a rogue archivist with ties to Freeland's underbelly, might have them. Hours later, Aldis returned, coat damp with night air, his face calm but smug, like a man who'd cracked a vault. He shed his coat, joining them in the study, where Sadie's holomaps glowed and Kane leaned against a shelf, arms crossed. "Find what you needed?" Kane asked, tone sharp, probing. Aldis waved a hand, settling into his armchair. "Enough for now," he said, evasive, eyes gleaming with quiet triumph. "You asked about my theories, Kane. Want a story?" "I've got a few. Threads of a past we're only starting to grasp." Kane nodded, craving distraction, the core's weight still pressing his mind. Sadie looked up, curious, her datapad forgotten. Aldis's passion a familiar spark. Aldis leaned back, his voice slipping into a storyteller's rhythm, rich and deliberate, as if unspooling a tapestry. History, as we're taught, is a half-truth, a frame built to keep us small, ignorant of what came before. I've spent 60 years chasing its cracks, piecing together a world that doesn't fit the textbooks. Let's start with Doggerland, a sunken plain off old Europe, now under the North Sea. Divers found stone circles there, 15,000 years old, aligned with constellations, Orion, Draco, charted only centuries later by Kepler's lenses. Not crude, Kane. Not savages banging rocks. These were engineers, carving monoliths with tools we can't replicate, navigating seas we thought untamed. Their settlements weren't camps. They were hubs with docks, granaries, temples that doubled as observatories. Isotopic scans show trade. Obsidian from Anatolia, jade from the Alps, across thousands of miles, long before we're told ships existed. He paused, eyes distant, hands gesturing as if shaping the past. Then, there's Göbekli Tepe, in Old Turkey, dated 11,000 years back. Temples, not huts. Massive T-shaped pillars carved with animals, stars, hands. No tools nearby, no villages. Yet the stones weigh tons, moved by hands or minds we don't understand. The carvings aren't random, fractal patterns, like the core's runes hinting at math we're only now decoding in quantum labs. The site was buried deliberately, not by flood, but by choice, as if they wanted it hidden. Why? Because they knew something was coming, a cataclysm, a judgment. Sadie leaned forward, rapt, her scholar's mind catching every thread. Kane stayed still, the tales pulling him in, the core merely a flash in his thoughts. Aldis's voice deepened, urgent. Take the Piri race map, 1513 drawn by a Turkish admiral. It shows Antarctica, ice-free, its coasts exact, matching sonar scans we didn't get till the 20th century. How? No one sailed there, not then. But someone did, millennia before, when the ice was gone. Before, the younger Dryas froze it shut. The map's source, older charts lost now, spoke of a world we can't imagine, with ports where deserts now stand, rivers where seas now roll, and it's not alone. The Antikythera mechanism, a Greek relic from 100 BCE. Gears, precise as clocks, tracking planets, eclipses, cycles no one should have known. Not Greek, not Roman, older, a fragment of a knowledge we lost. He leaned forward, eyes blazing, voice dropping to a near whisper. But it's the stories that bind it, Kane. Sadie. Every culture, continents apart, sings the same refrain. Sumerians wrote of Anunnaki, sky teachers who gave writing, law, fire, then left when floods came. The Hopi speak of star ancestors, guiding tribes through cataclysms, their cities swallowed by seas. Maori legends tell of Tain, a god from the heavens, shaping land with tools that sang. Even the Dogon in Old Mali knew Sirius B, a star invisible without telescopes, sang fish-like beings, taught them its orbit. Coincidence? Number. These aren't myths, they're memories distorted by time of a global civilization advanced beyond us, weaving tech with spirit. Aldis's hands spread, as if holding the world. Picture it. Cities of crystal and stone, not cold like Nova Reach's spires, but alive with energy drawn from ley lines. Grids of power we're only now mapping with satellites. Their ships didn't sail. They glided, powered by forces we call pseudoscience, zero-point energy, anti-gravity, consciousness itself. Their temples weren't for prayer, but for science. Labs where priests were engineers, mapping stars, minds, maybe time. They weren't gods, though. They fought, loved, betrayed. Elites hoarded knowledge. Workers bled for it. Rebels burned it down. Hierarchical, yes, but merit-driven. Artisans rose. Warriors carved names. Scholars like Sadie here. He nodded at her, a flicker of pride. Unraveled the cosmos. His voice grew grim, eyes locking on Kane. But they weren't alone. The scrolls, Sumerian, Vedic, Olmec, speak of others. Skyborn kings, beings from the black with eyes that hungered. Not invaders, not always, but teachers, rulers, partners, until they weren't. They gave gifts, fire, math, machines that thought. We sang their praises, built for them, learned their ways. Then something broke. Rebellion, betrayal, or their own design. The earth tore itself apart. Floods swept coasts, quakes cracked cities, skies rained ash. The stars lost their names because no one lived to speak them. This wasn't one fall, it's a cycle. Every 12,000 years or so. Comets, pole shifts, solar flares, cataclysms wiping the slate. We're not the first humanity, Kane, nor the last. And those Sky Kings? They're still out there, watching, waiting. Kane's throat tightened, the core's pulse a mirror to his own, a rhythm he couldn't shake. Waiting for what? Aldous met his gaze, unflinching. For us to rise again, or burn. The core's theirs, or ours through them. A piece of that world, meant to guide or destroy. It holds answers. Where they went, what they left, what's coming. But it's a blade, Kane, double-edged. It found you, and that's no accident. Sadie exhaled, her voice cutting the silence. You're saying this thing could wake them? Restart their machines? Or end ours, Aldous said, grim. The scroll's warning. Dawn returns in ash. It's history, maybe prophecy. Whatever it does, it's tied to you, Kane. Your blood. Your will. The room felt smaller, the core louder, a pulse echoing in their bones. Kane saw the girl he'd loved in Sadie's face, but also the woman she'd become. Brilliant, fierce, neck deep in a storm. For the first time in years, he didn't feel alone, and that scared him more than the shadows closing in. The tales hung heavy, Aldous' voice weaving a past too vast to grasp, yet too close to the core's truth. The holofire crackled, its warmth a faint shield against the chill of his words. Then, a sharp knock at the door shattered the spell. Sadie tensed, her hand drifting to her knife. Kane straightened, instincts flaring. Aldous rose, his calm unbroken, but his eyes held a flicker, anticipation, or dread. Who's that? Kane asked, voice low, braced for a fight. Aldous didn't answer right away, moving toward the door, leaving Sadie and Kane in the study's glow, the core between them, its secrets heavier than ever. A dear old friend,